on this week's edition of the Norsemen Football Review. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this year's edition of Norsemen's Football Review. As always, I'll be joined by head coach Dan Gallus. Well, it's a different Dan Gallus. He's a year older, but we won't hold that against him. Got plenty of highlights for you in last week's game against Wasson. We got a call-in segment a little bit later. If you want to, get on the phone lines now. Get ready. It'll be after halfway mark. 450-6988 is the phone number. We got two players to come on tonight, J.J. Bennett and Bubba Nunnery. All kinds of things. The most exciting half hour on television. Join us tonight as we take on Northglen's Norsemen's Football Review. High school football is on the air. Monday nights at 7 p.m., it's the Norsemen Football Review. Tuesday nights at 7 p.m., it's Thornton Football Plus. On Monday nights at 7 o'clock, will you be watching this show or will you be watching Monday Night Football?
I watch this first.
First, isn't it?
Always first.
I did appreciate being able to see it on TV because I wasn't able to come out here.
So catch all the action this season on American Cablevision Channel 10.
Preserve your favorite movies and specials on your home VCR. Cable and your VCR are the perfect match for home entertainment when you subscribe to Showtime, Cinemax, HBO, and the Disney Channel. After checking your cable guide, set your VCR for the correct recording time and watch at your convenience. If you have any questions on your VCR and our premium channels, then call us. We'll be there. It's good to be home with American Cablevision.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jeffrey Smith. Forgot to tell you that. I'll be your host all throughout the series. Dan Gallus, head coach of Northglen football. Dan, welcome back for another season of high school football action. Right now, things not looking as good as they could be or as well as they did last year, but from our conversations and from what we got to see last week against Wasson, you have to be pleased that things are looking a little bit better.
There's no question, Jeff, that I am pleased to be here. I'm glad that the season is finally here, but we've had a rough start, and we're going to get better. We've got some improving to do. We've improved over the last 2 weeks, and things are going to get better for us. We've got some people coming off of injuries finally, and we're going to someday be at full strength anyway.
Full squad. Tell me a little bit about the injuries. Before the season even got started, you went into the first scrimmage with 18 players, regular players that had seen varsity action at one time or somewhat, out even before the first game even got on the road. How do things look now, and are any of those players back?
We've got a number of them that are back. Whether or not they're ready to play or not is a question mark in my mind. Derwin Norwood, a tailback that we brought with us, came to us this year and started playing and did real good things in our inter-squad scrimmage. Broken ankle about 2 days after the inter-squad. Of course, Mark Munson, everybody knows about him and the knee problem that he had and is still experiencing. About the middle of last week, we had another injury. Jason Klein, our starting tailback, went down with a torn medial collateral ligament in his knee, and J.J. Bennett has been not healthy all the way. He's had a couple of hamstring pulls. Bubba Nunnery, our other captain, he had an Achilles tendon, stepped on, and that's a quite painful injury, and it takes him for a while to get better.
Well, let's talk about yourself a little bit. First show of the season, we like to get everybody acquainted with yourself and the coaches that will be on the staff. Tell us a little bit about Dan Gallus and what you get to do from each day to day.
Well, I'm the head football coach. I'm also the defensive line coach and defensive coordinator. We have Matt Craddock, who is our secondary coach and special teams coach. He's been with us for 3 years now. And Matt Brothers, who's a linebacker coach and head junior varsity coach. He's been with us for about 4 years. Bill Riefel, our offensive coordinator, has been around since the school's cornerstone went in, and off and on in various positions.
Long time.
Yeah. And then Scott Gallus is our offensive line coach. He's been there for 4 years. And Ron Waddle-Levitt's a running back coach who's been with us for about 5 years.
Now, Ron Waddle-Levitz, he played there at Northglen, did he not?
He did, as did Matt Brothers and Bill Riefel.
That's good to kind of keep it all in the family and bring people back onto the program. it kind of lets the players know that, hey, there's a lot of history here, and we really take pride in what we do, and that's why we're here.
Well, there's no question, Jeff, that the players do feel that from our coaches. The coaches themselves are driven individuals. They're hard workers, and they have an intense desire to do well and show the kids how to do well, and to take those type of attributes with them after they finish high school and beyond into their careers.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the season then as we get going here. A full board of players on tap, but as we said, there was a few injuries to start the season, nothing that anybody likes to be faced with. Had what some people would consider a major setback, and what a lot of people were saying in the papers is that, but there had to be some positives in that first game against Pomona.
Well, there were some positives in there. We felt that we did get some good out of it. We had a lot of younger players that played in the game. We also felt that our second-team quarterback, Jeff Powell, who's been seeing most of the action, or all of the action so far, came of age as a high school 4A quarterback. Our offensive line got a lot of work in. We scored 28 points, although for some reason when you score 28 you should win a football game, but they happened to score 55 that night.
29 in one quarter. In that second quarter, it was just kind of an amazing attribute that Pomona, the scene that Pomona put on there. It was not actually from what I could tell, that there was any fault on any one individual players. It just seemed that the team was like, wait a minute, what's going on? And they got things together in the second half and came out and actually won that second half.
Well, if you keep score for a half, yeah, we did win the second half. We had more points than they did, but the overall game is what's important. That's about the assessment, the way you say it, is in the second quarter we just kind of fell apart in a lot of different areas, and it was difficult for us to pull back together. At halftime we were able to regroup and get ourselves back on track. When you have a lot of injuries like that, many times you have people in positions that they haven't had a lot of experience at, and that's what the case was that night.
Well, week two took you down into Colorado Springs at Gary Berry Stadium. You took on one of the more contending type teams in that area, Wasson. Had a little bit better result, but still put up a mark on the other side of the board. The final score was 17-14 in that football game. We have some highlights of this particular event, and as soon as we're ready to put that up, we'll get right to it. But initially, what were your reactions throughout the week to get motivated for that game?
Well, the key word that we had for last week was enthusiasm. We weren't going to let the loss to Pomona dampen our spirits or lessen our desire to do well. So we had a key word, and that was enthusiasm last week, and the young men continued to have that spark and push themselves through, the hard time where they had that bad feeling inside from the loss, and then they were able to come out and play fairly well against Wasson.
And as we turn to the screen in our studio, everybody will be able to see this at home. September 9th football game, North Gwinnett Wasson. Opening kickoff does a strange thing, gets out of bounds, and they have to keep it down there. Did that get touched by a player down that end?
They touched it and went out of bounds, and then it was their football, and then we were able to stop their option right here, and we're finally starting to swarm on the ball, as you saw just right there. This is Wasson's wishbone, and J.J. Bennett steps up. He's a big improvement to our middle. When we have J.J. in there, his experience as a player, he has a nose for the football. Rob Levin on a return, on a punt, he gets down to the 40-yard line.
Start off with good field position right away. You get a penalty here, and it puts you back on your own 45.
This is Ricky Romero running, a sophomore for us, running the sweep. He got a lot of playing action in because of Jason being hurt, but as you can see, it was well-deserved action here. He runs a sweep the other side. We get down inside the 30-yard line.
Move up a couple of plays, another first down, and North Glen's in striking distance.
We fake that same play and then throw the boot pass to Damon Berry there for 6 points.
Nice catch by Damon in the back of the end zone. And upcoming kick by
Sean Burrow. Sean Burrow puts it through, gives us that extra one, makes it 7-zip.
Second possession by Wasson. They'll start out at their own 25.
It's a pass. We had a cover 3 call, which is the 3 deep secondary, and he's able to get that out. That was just a good call against the coverage that we had. We need to do a little bit better job of putting pressure on the quarterback.
It seems that contain is a little bit of a worry at this time, maybe for the North Glen team.
Well, if you look at this play right here, the contain problem happened there is when you run against an option team, you have to have one person on the dive, one person on the quarterback, and one person on the pitch, or at least someone on them. And we had everybody go after the dive on that play, and they scored, as you saw.
7-7 now, a little bit later in the first quarter.
Jeff Powell throws a pass out here to, I believe that's Damon.
Damon again, yes.
Damon
Damon
Gray
with a
gets
nice
inside
catch.
the 40. There's a good look at Jeff.
We go to the second quarter.
Throws out to Kyle Ray. Ricky Romero down the sideline inside the 20-yard line.
A couple of penalties, ends up in a 4th down, and you have to punt from back on your own 40.
Mm-hmm. Well, Rob does a good job of punting for us this week. Rob Levin, we taught him how to punt just this year. He never has punt before. And Rob did a super job. Here we give the draw play to Ricky again, and Ricky gets about 15 yards, and it's the same play again to Rick Romero.
Such a good camera angle, we wanted to show it again. It's still in the second quarter. Picks up about 20 on that play. Ricky Romero, bright spot for Northglenn.
Here we have Jeff booting out and gets a pass off to Sean Burrow, number 82. Sean gets a couple of yards there. Motion across with Lee Peters. Pulls up and throws to Kyle Ray in the flat, and Kyle gets down inside the 30 again.
13-yard pickup. It seemed like the screen pass was working real well for you in this football
Screen
game.
has been a good play for us, especially the fullback screen.
Don't mean to take away from this play. It's a good one by the defense.
Defense does a good job of playing that there. Keith Owings and J.J. Bennett make the tackle, strip the ball out. Number 21 there is Brian Hempelman. And Brian comes up with the ball after really squeezing hard and pulling it away from the Wasson player.
Now, who's this guy coming in here? Who was that?
You don't need to know about him.
Northglenn with the ball, and here's that screen pass we were talking about. Nice balance.
This is Kyle Ray, who takes the ball and does a great job of catching the pass and then rambles into the end zone for another 6.
Gets that hand down. Ron Wanalevitz, glad to see that, I bet.
Yeah, a little stumble bum there. Then we've got, this is our water bucket play for our extra point, and we move over, line up, Jeff Powell holding. Greg Lassen is the center, and Sean Burrow kicks it through and makes it 14.
So you led pretty much throughout the first half of the game.
Well, they always seem to counter with something here, and here they come back with a quarterback keep, and Gary Fowling chased him down, and then we get inside and let this fine receiver, number 80, outside, and he gets all the way down inside the 5, and then they scored in for 6 points. So right away, we're back in a tie ball game again as soon as this young man kicks the ball through the uprights.
It's real hard to tell on TV sometimes, but how did you match up on the front line against Wasson?
Oh, I thought that our front line did very well, both offensively and defensively. It's just our consistency at this time is not as good as we'd like it, and we're going to get better at it because we're going to work hard at it, and these young men have that desire to keep getting better.
Tough run in there for the kick return, puts the ball at the 25.
There's a draw again to Ricky.
And that's another play that worked. It seemed like their penetration was coming at you so fierce you had the draw and you had the screen all night.
Well, anytime that you pass the ball as well as we do, I think that people like to put a great amount of pressure on your quarterback. And what happens is it opens up the screen and it opens up the draw. So we try to take advantage of it quite a bit.
We go into the third quarter here. Halftime score was 14-14. Northglenn initially not too much going on, so they'll have to punt the ball back to the other side.
See Andy Ertl here make a great tackle. He sheds the blocker and then locks up on the man. Andy had a great football game for us. J.J. Bennett putting pressure on the quarterback, and there he completes just a fantastic pass and a great catch. We had him covered. We just didn't play the ball as well as we should have. Then he rolls out, and Brian Hempelman picks out the pass for the interception. And we stall on offense, so we get a great punt here by Rob Levin. And then there's Brian Hempelman down the field again, just doing a super job. There's their option, and
Now they put the ball
Billy
down a
Engel
lot
punched
here.
it out. Yeah, they did put the ball down on the ground quite a bit, and that happens a lot when you're running the option.
Got a little bit out of sequence here. We'll take a look at from a field level here. That great punt by Rob Levin.
Rob, a super punt, and again, Brian Hempelman down on coverage.
So the third quarter ends, and the score still remains 14.
There was no scoring in the third quarter, and it was pretty much a defensive battle after half. Both teams were having a rough time. Here we go with the reverse to Lee Peters. Lee turns it up right through there, splits the two defensive people, and gets an extra 4 or 5 yards. We get called for a holding, and back we come again. We had a problem with our penalties. We had 14 penalties in the game, and we just said we're going to have to get a lot better at that and not letting those things get in our way.
Back and forth encounters here, just basically a rough and tough ball game between the two teams.
We're going to need to do a better job of tackling there, although we did get him down. We missed about 2 tackles beforehand. And here's the play that ended the ball game really scoring-wise, a 54-yard field goal by Watson. 54 yards. You don't even see that in the pros very often, let alone college.
An outstanding feat by anybody, like you were saying, pro, college, high school. I saw Rob Levin, and I talked to him about that kick a little bit later, and he basically was saying he couldn't believe it went through, and it still had some more oomph behind it. Could have went a few more yards.
Well, that young man, he really got all of it. And if you would have asked me before the kick, I would have said he's probably got the leg because I've seen him kick before. But whether or not he's going to be able to put it through the uprights is another thing, because that's a different story. And as you saw there, he had plenty of room up above and or underneath, and plenty of room to the right of it.
Next week, opponent. Let's get this out. We're 0-2. We're ready to get onto the league. We got one more game against an out-of-league opponent. Tell us about your next opponent.
Overland Trailblazers, a fine football team out of the Centennial League. Overland is a very well-coached football team, a very physical football team. And last week they had a setback against Grand Junction, in Grand Junction. But anytime you go to Grand Junction and play, it's going to be tough to get out of there with a victory because of the fact that they are just, number one, very good. Plus, you have to ride the bus for about 6 hours before you get there. So you're tired and you're not usually up to par. But they're a very good football team, and they're going to be a great opponent for us.
Once again, before we go on to a little bit more of the scouting, I wanted to tell people that 650-6988 is the phone number for the call-in. Dan is expecting a call from his wife a little bit later. But if we get that running, we'll 450, thank you, Doug Craig in the booth, 450-6988. We have a new set. Everything is new. I'm going to make a few mistakes, so I'm sorry. Bear with me. Let's get on to the preparation for this week's game. Overland, very tough. They're 1-1 on the season right now.
Mm-hmm.
Really doesn't matter too much what's going on. They'll be getting into their league as well after this week. We have a new format. We'll get to that in a little bit for the front range. But once again, back to things that you're going to do for Overland on offense. What will you do to try to put the points back up on the board?
Well, I think that we're going to go back to just trying to run the football at them and see if we can make some holes with our offensive line or tight end and control the football on the ground and then try to open it up a little bit with the pass, try to take advantage of some of the coverages that they use against us and or lack of coverages that they use. Because they're running an 8-man front, they'll either be in a 4-4 or a 53 or a 6-2 or a stand-up where everybody's in a gap. And usually when you pop something like that, it's usually for a big gainer. It's just difficult to get it popped.
Now, did you match up against Overland last year?
Yes, we did. We played Overland the score was 20-8. And they beat us. It was our third game as well last year. They beat us at home. A 28 ball game. Very physical game. I expect the same type of game this year. It's going to be played at the Stutler Bowl down in the Cherry Creek School District on AstroTurf, and our young men are excited to play them. Anytime you get to play a Centennial League school, everybody's excited.
Exactly. So now we take care of the offense. We look to see a few more points. You had 28 the week before. That looked like you had a few opportunities this last week. Defensively, how will you plan to stop up that Overland attack?
Well, Overland runs what we call a split back veer. They'll have two running backs in the backfield, just split on either side of the quarterback, and the quarterback will come down the line and they'll option the ball. They'll either go with a dive, or he'll come out, the quarterback will keep it around the end, or he'll pitch the football, similar to what Wasson ran, but without the fullback in the backfield. They'll also set up with 2 wide outs, or they'll set 2 of them on one side in twins. And they'll throw the ball. They do a better job of throwing the ball than what we've seen so far this year as well. They run fairly well with their split back veer.
All right, Dan, I want to thank you for being on the show tonight. Normally we would have Dan come back on the stage, but we have 2 players coming up next, J.J. Bennett, Bubba Nunnery.
Our 2 captains.
2 captains. Thank you very much. I didn't know that. We'll have them come out. I'll let you get a chance to meet them, and then you get a chance to call in and ask a few questions. The coach won't be out here, so I don't have any questions for him. Have some for myself or for the players when they come back out on the Norsemen Football Review. Dan, thanks again.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week.
Jeff. I'll be here with a victory.
1 and 2. High school football is back for a command performance. A full slate of action has been prepared for you on American Cablevision Channel 10. So, which channel will you watch this fall for high school football?
I watch Northland Norsemen football on American Cablevision Channel 10.
I watch Northland football on American Cablevision Channel 10.
And I watch Thornton High School football on American Cablevision Channel 10.
So catch all the action this season on American Cablevision Channel 10.
It's really great when we can get
Jay
the
Bennett,
whole...
Bubba Nunnery,
Position?
linebacker, center,
We're going to go back and forth. Number?
44, 65,
Height?
5'11".
Yeah, I was going to say, no, wait a minute.
About 5'10".
5'10", okay. Thank you very much for that. So positions, by the way. Did we say that already?
Yes, linebacker.
Announcer, really. All right, guys, thank you very much for joining the show tonight. Basically, we'd like to let everybody know about what a football player is like from North Glen Norsemen's side of the highway there. JJ, let's start with you. And basically, you were on the show last year, so you know how this kind of goes. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
As I say, a 44 linebacker. I play defense, and just, our football team, has kind of been in the slums the last 2 games. But we've had a good week of practice, so far. Tonight was very good. I think we'll pull out this week and beat Overland. I know we will.
Going down there to the Stetler Bowl.
Yes, Stetler Bowl.
Have you guys ever had a chance to play down there before?
No.
It'd be your first trip.
Play on turf.
All right. Well, Bubba, let's go to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm center, as I said, number 65. And I agree pretty much with what JJ said. As Coach Dan said, we've had a lot of injuries this year. But you can't ever use that. We have people who are always ready to step in and do their job. So we're pulling together now, and good things are going to happen.
So are you guys personally on the team then, you guys each feel that as captains, you don't want to think about the injuries. You want to be able to get right back out there and say, hey, you're here. Let's play. Let's go play some football.
Definitely.
Exactly.
So captain-wise, which things do you, you're both offense, right?
Offense,
okay.
yes.
Defensively, what do you say to your team to get them motivated for each play?
Well, we just get going every play. I call the plays and get the huddle going, and we just got to get them motivated. And I think I do a pretty good job of that, and we all love it. We just love to be out there playing the game.
Exactly. Defensively or offensively. Well, I tell you, you guys quit bringing 2 of these people on, and I'll be fine. Go ahead, Bubba. I'm sorry.
Well, our offense knows where the unit has to get things done out there and put the points up there. And we have plenty of leaders ready on offense, and everybody knows that they have to do their job. So.
And in the offensive huddle, you have to stay pretty quiet.
Yes, sometimes. Somebody.
Somewhat. The quarterback gets in there.
Said.
Again, this year, a new quarterback coming into the fold. How well have you tried to bring him into the play of things to let him feel comfortable?
I've tried to make him feel just as comfortable, as if it was Mark, and he's done a great job.
And Mark is there on the sidelines, of course, helping out with what knowledge he can.
Right.
That's got to be a good feeling, though. But by the end of the season, you'll have 2 seasoned veteran quarterbacks that can step in at any time.
Very good quarterback.
You guys go to Overland, and then you're back into the league. What do you guys think about this 7-team format? 8 teams now in the front range?
7, you're right.
7, okay.
Well, it's a little bit more competitive, but I feel we can do the job. It doesn't affect me.
No. After Overland, we play
Greeley Central.
And then we go to Thornton, which is our rival.
Which is our first TV game, I might add.
Yeah, and then Thornton, and then Westy, which is our homecoming. So we hope, start off those teams. We know we'll beat them.
Okay.
We're looking good.
I thank you very much. You guys ready to take some of these calls here?
Yes,
we got one
definitely.
lined up here. We want to thank everybody for participating in this new thing that we got going on here. 450-6988 is the number, and let's go right to the phones. You're on the air.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to know, do you think it's hurting you, that you've had key players hurt this season?
JJ?
Yes, in a way, Mark Munson was put out with a knee injury. And like against Pomona, we had at least about 5, 6 starters out. And I do believe it hurt us a little bit. Everybody has one job to do, and we're a team. All together, we're a team. It doesn't matter who's out there playing or nobody's an individual on our team. We're all a family. So I'd say, no, not really.
Anything else we can help you with tonight?
Yeah, one more question.
Go right ahead.
How do you think you're going to do in the Front Range League this season?
I think we'll do real well in the league this season. We've opened up with some tough games, and not
Very
saying
tough.
people in the league aren't tough, but I think we'll do real well.
Are you still there, caller?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I would like to remind everybody, if you want to get on the call and the phone's busy, as soon as somebody drops off, get right. That's when you pick up the phone and dial. As soon as somebody gets off, and there we got another caller. You brought up a point, though, about the Front Range. You guys were co-champions last year, and you go to Pooter again this year. A little quirk in the scheduling. You got to be looking forward to that game.
You betcha.
Yes, sir.
That's going to be a big game. We're going to be looking forward to that. We don't actually get to go, but we'll have plenty of highlights. Let's go right back to the phones. Caller, who are you? And you're on the air.
Hi, I have a question for Bubba. Is that your real name?
It's my real name.
Are you sure?
I'm very sure. It's
What's
my
your
real
middle
name.
name?
What's that?
What's your middle name?
Scott. When I was born, my mom wanted to name me Scott, and my dad wanted to name me Bubba, and I sat in the hospital for a few days with no name, actually. And so I guess my mom got to name my sister, and my dad got his way.
Who gave you the...
What's that?
You like it?
Definitely.
Okay,
Nobody
thanks.
forgets it.
He gets all the girls that way. Of course he likes that one. Who chose your number there?
My number?
Yeah.
I chose my number.
You chose your number? You got your number? Said Bubba is number 50?
65.
Oh, my God. We'll take that one right off of there. 65. What number again?
44.
Now, everybody look for these guys. I'm going to have to look for these guys because I forget their numbers all the time. Any kind of predictions for a record this year? Right now, you're down 2.
We're going to go undefeated.
There you go. I was hoping you would say that. Let's go right back to the phones. Caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, how do you feel since Mark Munson's hurt that the starting quarterback now is going to fill in for him?
I think Jeff Powell's already doing a very good job. And I think, last week, Pomona, he was a little bit, sketchy. And then last week he did a very good job, and I think he's going to get better and better. He looked good. He looked very good tonight. So I think Jeff Powell's going to just keep on going.
I have a question for Bubba. How is the quarterback now? Are you comfortable with him?
Definitely, yeah. Jeff can do the job, and I feel fine, just as much comfortable with him as I do with Mark. And I think he's only getting better.
All right, thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, caller. The one thing I noticed right away in the transition from even the scrimmage is that, like you're saying, he got a little bit more comfortable with the offense, but I haven't seen any of the mistakes where he had to call timeout to go out the field to say, hey, what happened on this play? From the sidelines, from up above there in the booth, down to the sidelines and out onto the field, everything seems to be running smoothly. The mechanism that North Glen is used to putting together and operations for a well-run team, they're all there. It's just the keys of putting the little things together at this point. Would you agree with that? Or
yes, most definitely.
You guys, I've seen over the last few years a real competitiveness between Thornton and North Glen, and it always seemed that one side took an attitude about the game and said, it's not that big, we're going to go out there and play, it's our league rival. But this year, you got a new opponent in the District 12 League, Horizon. Anything that you might feel might develop out of this new team being here in this league?
Well, I think it may develop in the next few years, but this year, of course, they're looking for a building year, something to build on. And I think, well, for me anyways, Thornton's still a big game.
The one to look to then.
Definitely.
Horizon is just still sophomores and juniors. They're a good school. What are they now, 1-1?
1-1, yeah.
1-1,
they had a close game again that they could have won the week before.
Exactly.
Put a real impressive thing. Got a lot of publicity. Stanley Lake and Horizon, 2 new schools getting after each other, and our school Horizon came up with the win. The thing that I want to thank you, first of all, for coming on the show. I think it's really impressive that we can find out about the football players on the team and let us know a little bit more of the insight. The parents, I know, enjoy the fact that we get to find out what their kids are doing from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock each evening. Hopefully they're doing their schoolwork during the day. But I want you guys to think about a few things on what your goals are as far as football is concerned and in your own lives. And after this break, we'll be right back to talk with these great gentlemen about those very things. We'll be right back on Norsemen Football Review. Back real quickly, we're towards the end of the show. The question was basically, what goals have you set for yourself, not only from football, but also in personal life? JJ, go right ahead.
My goals for football, like I say, is to go undefeated. And us as a defensive set a goal, all of us on the defensive team, is to go at least almost all of our games undefeated. We want to try to shut out almost every one of our opponents. And for my personal goal, for life, is that I want to go to college and play football, which, I hope I do. And then I'd like to get a successful job, settle down, and have a family.
Bubba, go right ahead.
I'd have to agree with him. Our offense, you know, we all want to pull together as a unit and do the job that we all know we can do. And as far as future plans, I'd like to attend college and play football. You know, I'm not a big guy like some of the college offensive linemen, but right now I'd like to focus on high school football, do the best I can, and we'll see what happens from there.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. Two fine gentlemen of the North Glen football team. We'll be back next week. We'll have player interviews once again, call-in segment. I want to thank the callers that joined us tonight. Tune in tomorrow at 7 p.m. when we should be on the air again. We're sorry about running a little bit late tonight. High school action all through the season from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock every night for the rest of the fall. My name's Jeffrey Smith. Join us again next week on the Norsemen Football Review.